educating them constantly, focusing on their emotional support. So it's important to understand that these are all human beings in the end, and they all require certain levels of some basics. So you can't really impose things without seeing that the basics are covered, which is number one, the safety. So we want our students to be interacting in a safe environment. And then, of course, in terms of their mental and emotional support, so providing things apart from the core subjects. So the core subjects were your English, Maths, Science, Urdu. We initially focused on those, and as we learned, then we expanded towards other subjects like Pak studies and Islamiyat and all. But in terms of focusing on the core, in the end, our goal was to ensure that learning levels don't drop. The Educators is a franchise model of Beacon House, and we serve a different strata of society where children and teachers do not all have access to technology. So even on that side, we had, so WhatsApp was our main mode of communication, and we were making videos. So we actually used a number of things. We used apps. We made, even for communication, we made parental apps. We made YouTube channels. Where teachers were creating content to set a standard, because not all content was, we couldn't monitor every classroom, so we needed to give teachers a standard. So there were videos which were recorded, and those videos initially focused on students' problem areas. In terms of learning so for example, we've identified there's a teacher in Karachi who's very good in explaining division. So we asked her, okay, can you please record a lesson for us? And we uploaded it to our YouTube channel where both students and teachers could access it. So that's how we encouraged learning from one region to the next. Of course, there were people who were vetting those videos, vetting the content, seeing if it's high quality content. We wouldn't allow any video to be shared at a system level. So yes, in terms of using technology, we used all kinds. I wouldn't say that we just focused on one, because the good thing with technology is that there's so much, and there are different means of communication which cater to different needs. And because you have such a large system, you can't really say everybody has the same needs. Because we're placed in secondary cities where the internet connection might not be so good. We're also placed in major cities where they have access to a lot more in terms of online provision.
Thank you. Farah, we'll come back to you, and exactly at that point, I'll come to Waqas. And Waqas, as we heard Farah, on the one hand side, it's the educators, the teachers, the researchers and academia, and they have been trying their best to innovate their own pedagogy, their methodologies and stuff. And then we also hear about, at each point, what sort of challenges they have been facing. So from you, we first of all want to know what solutions has the technology offered, and how successful those solutions were in the scenarios of schools in Pakistan and universities or colleges as well. So your comments upon that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you can hear me well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I think this question is very vibrant, and we have to think it like in two to three ways. First, as ma'am suggests, that innovation, we all are talking about innovation, but the most top important thing is, are we actually able to bring innovation in our classrooms? Or if we have the existing curriculum, are we opting any practices, tools, technologies, platform that actually enable us to basically adopt the best like practices within Pakistan or not. When you talk about innovation specifically, this is something which Microsoft is working for long. And I've been associated with Microsoft since 2012, directly or indirectly, because I work as a partner, I work as a distributor, I even worked as an employee for Microsoft. I also got a chance of working for both sectors, like when you talk about education, so K-12 education and higher education commission is another one where we have a mega contract signed as far as the education transformation is concerned. So starting from the classroom perspective, the topic which I also heard, like, someone was talking about 21st century skills. Innovation and creativity is also one of the skills which we want to impart in our classrooms. But, if innovation, you just need to identify, first of all, I think so, what is creativity and innovation. So for example, just think about your first mobile phone. Maybe 3310, 3310, आप सब लोग use करते रहे. आप सब लोगों ने यकीनन snakes वाली game भी खेली होगी उसके ऊपर. Just compare that mobile phone with today mobile phone. ठीक है? So you will find the level of innovation which even a device come up with. It means if this is changing and if this is in excess of each and every person which is right now sitting here, which is right now sitting at home, which is right now sitting at schools, or even it's a teacher, student, school leader, whoever it is. If the industry trends are changing, it means we have to bring innovation in our classrooms as well. Now, talking about the challenges, which was the second aspect of that. How we can cater the challenges and what are the most important challenges which we are facing right now. The important thing to understand here is, there is no linkage between industry and academia. This is a major, and even the curriculum which we have, which we are teaching in our classroom, that if you talk about teacher professional development, अगर मैं means थोड़ा सा पीछे जाएं, our fathers and forefathers got job based on the degree which they had. उस वक्त जो graduation कर लेता था, masters कर लेता था, ultimately they found out a job in the industry. No matter what industry they want to opt, it's an education industry, automobile industry, किस में आप जाना चाहते हैं? Ultimately you have something in hand. But today, when you talk about industry, so industry have a unique requirement. Industry is looking for a skillful person. That's why you are seeing a lot of companies coming up. You are seeing कि एक freelancer का अलग से YouTube पे आप जाएं, आप Facebook जब explore कर रहे होते हैं तो freelancing is something लोग वो skills सिखा रहे हैं. When you talk about Microsoft is always working on few skills. अगर हम 21st century skills की बात करें, देखिए Microsoft ने जितने भी tools develop किए हैं, every tool is indeed connected with the skills which we want to impart to our students right now. For example, we have one program, you could say it a certification program. एक certification है teachers के लिए which is called MCE, Microsoft Certified Educator, which is based on 21st century learning design. So Microsoft, UNESCO, IT के जो top giants they sit together and they finally come up with few skills. Top 6 skills के साथ ये है कि हमारे आज teachers को ये skills चाहिए जिसकी base पे ये classroom में successfully teach कर सकते हैं. What are those skills? कल मैंने एक सेशन सुना, डेफिनेटली इट वाज एन अमेजिंग सेशन. वी वर आप सब लोगों ने वो अटेंड किया. कोलैबोरेशन थी, क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग थी, नॉलेज कंस्ट्रक्शन थी, प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग थी, एंड द टॉपिक विच मैम मेंशन इनोवेशन एंड क्रिएटिविटी, एंड देन सेल्फ रेगुलेशन, एंड देन यूज ऑफ ICT इन लर्निंग. सो दीज आर ऑल द स्किल्स. और मोस्टली अब मैं अगर आपको टूल्स को कनेक्ट करें, फॉर एग्जाम्पल अभी हम इस हॉल के अंदर माइक्रोसॉफ्ट टीम्स के थ्रू कनेक्टेड है. Microsoft want to provide you a single unified platform through that you can not only collaborate but you can also bring innovation into your classrooms as well. अगर collaboration जो एक 21वीं सेंचुरी की skills है उसको इस tool के साथ आप आज के दौर में connect करें. मैं basic से basic tool उठाता हूँ, Word, Excel, PowerPoint जो आप सब लोग use करते हैं. पहले मैं अगर आप बैक पे चाहें 2010, 11, 12 आप सब लोग ऑफिस में, हम यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में पढ़ रहे थे, हम ऑफिस यूज़ करते थे. उसका एक वर्जन था जो हम CDs लाते थे, इंस्टॉल करते थे कंप्यूटर में, एंड फाइनली वी वुड बी एबल टू डू अवर वर्क. और टू सम एक्सटेंट मोबाइल फ़ोन बहुत लिमिटेड थे, सोशल मीडिया के ऊपर इतनी लेवरेज नहीं थी, एक्सेस नहीं थी लोगों की. बट नाउ if you simply think about Microsoft Word, so you have the Word online version as well. What is the main aim of the Word online? To collaborate, so that the people within the organization, outside the organization, locally, globally can connect and collaborate. So it means every tool is connected with actually the skills which we want to impart. You talk about Microsoft Teams, which is in front of us. Right now, a lot of people connected, in this conference, leveraging a platform which is Microsoft Teams. आप अपने classrooms के हवाले से सोचें कि जब classrooms में थे हम, तो classrooms के अंदर अभी भी COVID-19 से हम, we are the generation, we have seen a transition from traditional mode of teaching to a remote mode of teaching, and then the hybrid and the blended mode of teaching, which is happening right now. So हमने वो सारी चीज़ों को देखा हुआ है. दूसरी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ ये है, अब हमें ये पता है कि these are the tools, technologies, trends, skills available. लेकिन क्या हमने अपने बच्चों को अगर इंडस्ट्री के साथ कनेक्ट करना है, फ्यूचर के लिए प्रिपेयर करना है, बिकॉज आज आप जिससे भी बात करेंगे मार्केट के अंदर, everyone is talking about the skills. Why they are emphasizing on the skills? Because they just want you to be prepared for the industry. And if you want to prepare yourself for the industry, this is I think so, the main aim of this conference, which I was discussing, of this discussion, panel as well, that what should be the way forward? What is the starting point? Means what should be the things which we need to opt. So I think so, if I'm just going to give you an example, and hopefully if I'll get a chance later on, I will explain few more things. How we help institutions all across Pakistan, both in K-12 and higher education, like commission, to when I'm talking about higher education commission, it means all the universities. Okay? So हमारे पास it was 2020, people were losing job, offices close हो रहे थे, सारी चीज़ें हो रही. We were the one जिनका काम, जो दिन को भी काम कर रहे थे, रात को भी काम कर रहे थे, because everyone at that particular time realized the importance of technology. ठीक है, आप सब लोगों ने, मे बी किसी ने Zoom बहुत कम यूज़ किया होगा, Google Meet बहुत कम यूज़ किया होगा, Teams बहुत कम यूज़ किया होगा अपनी पूरी ज़िंदगी में. बट ये जो पीछे COVID-19 आया, यू आर द वन जिसने मोस्टली इन टूल से बेनिफिट लगाया. एंड एक्चुअली टेक्नोलॉजी इज enabler and it's make the learning happen in our classrooms. हमारा यूनिवर्सिटीज़ के साथ जो काम करने का मॉडल है, दैट इज़ बेस्ड ऑन वन ऑफ द फ्रेमवर्क which we call education transformation framework. So हम इंस्टेड के आप लोगों को टूल की एक्सेस दे दें एंड जस्ट ट्रेनिंग दे दें, it's not a way forward. I think so, what we believe as Microsoft or as JBS, that if you really want to transform education, first thing is you need to connect the education with the industry. The second most important thing is you have to be a framework in place, and that framework, I would suggest you all just Google it, education transformation framework, जो Microsoft offer करता है. इसकी 4 pillars हैं basically. जब भी हम किसी यूनिवर्सिटी के पास जाते हैं, लोगों के पास जाते हैं, वी टॉक अबाउट 4 एस्पेक्ट. नंबर 1 इज अ लीडरशिप एंड पॉलिसी. ठीक है, हम इन्विजन करते हैं पॉसिबिलिटीज, हम कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी है जो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन में, उसको मिनिमाइज करके आपको सोल्यूशन प्रपोज करते हैं. एंड फाइनली वी कम अप विद द स्ट्रेटजीज. ओके, दीज आर द पॉसिबिलिटीज, हाउ वी कैन अचीव इट, हाउ वी कैन लेवरेज दोज टेक्नोलॉजीज, दीज आर द टूल्स, टेक्नोलॉजीज एंड अवेलेबल. सो लीडरशिप एंड पॉलिसी प्रोस्पेक्टिव में, जिसमें हम टॉप C लेवल्स मीटिंग करते हैं, लोगों को बताते हैं. सो दिस इज द फर्स्ट एस्पेक्ट. सेकेंड एस्पेक्ट इज द टीचिंग एंड लर्निंग, जिसके ऊपर हम रोज ही बात कर रहे होते हैं. मीन्स द टीचिंग एंड लर्निंग. कोविड में टीचिंग एंड लर्निंग हो रही है, ऑनलाइन टूल्स रिसोर्सेज, ये सारी चीज़ें टीचिंग एंड लर्निंग पिलर के अंदर हमारा एक कंप्लीट फ्रेमवर्क है इसके ऊपर. द थर्ड मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज द अमाउंट ऑफ डाटा विच वी आर प्रोड्यूसिंग टुडे इज मच हायर एज कम्पेयर टू वट अवर किड्स वर डूइंग. आप अपने मोबाइल फ़ोन को देखें, आप एक डेली बेसिस पे कितने व्हाट्सएप के मैसेज करते हैं, आप डेली बेसिस पे आपका बच्चा आज कितने कंटेंट क्रिएट करता है, जो कि जब हम क्लासरूम में होते थे नहीं क्रिएट करते थे. वी इवन डोंट हैव इट. इट्स मीन्स इस डाटा के ने किसी जगह स्टोर भी होना है, और वो जो स्टोरेज की स्पेस है उसको हम क्लाउड कहते हैं. वो जो क्लाउड कंप्यूटिंग टेक्नोलॉजी, जब क्लाउड के ऊपर डाटा जाएगा तो इसके साथ बहुत से कंसर्न्स भी अटैच हैं, स्पेसिफिकली रिलेटेड टू स्टूडेंट वेलबींग, सेफ्टी एंड सिक्योरिटी ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन डाटा, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा. सो दीज आर ऑल द थिंग. तो जो थर्ड पिलर है ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन का एग्रीमेंट का, टीचिंग एंड लर्निंग से हट के हम वी ऑल्सो वर्क विद ऑर्गेनाइजेशन on these pillars as well, जिसमें हम intelligent एक environment create करते हैं. इसमें आप artificial intelligence ले लें, data science ले लें, robotics की बात कर लें, ये सारी technologies हम come up with. And finally, we have a student and a school success. Our core goal, aim and mission is to empower each and every person on a planet to achieve more. How you can achieve more? Definitely we have a tool, technologies and platform available. So I think so this might be an option through that we can move ahead and bring innovation into our classroom.
Thank you, Vikas. Thank you so much. I will go to Professor Dr. Mohammed Maiman. Sir, we heard Farah, we heard Vikas, and we heard so many panel discussions and other discussions today and yesterday. A question again and again came up, and that was the prospective teachers and the teachers who are already in the classrooms. How are we going to enable them for, number one, for innovative pedagogy, number two, effective use of technology and all the tools that we have at hand right now. So what is going to be our strategy for teachers, in-service teachers, and those teachers who are prospective teachers? Please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is a very critical and important, question that, you have posed to me. Now, this question has a number of, dimensions, as well as the question itself is a very challenging question. In the sense that, particularly pre-service, those, those candidates who haven't yet started, their teaching career. I think this is much easier to work with the pre-service teacher education candidates rather than working with the in-service. Reason I am going to discuss later, because the pre-service they are very fresh candidates. They have joined with the aspirations or the expectations that they are going to grow as a professional, or and they are going to adopt teaching profession. I think this is up to the teacher education institutions and those who which are providing teacher education programs, how to prepare them to become versatile, rather than really using single pedagogy. I think up till now that our experience, and I think that I didn't participate much in your sessions. I don't know whether there was any evidence or the discussion on the use of the advantage of single pedagogy versus multiple pedagogies. But I do believe, as a teacher educator and the policy maker, I do believe that the single pedagogy is the failure. I must confess it. I think those teachers who think that they are really champion in producing or applying single pedagogy, perhaps they have to rethink that and perhaps there seems to be a misconception about the pedagogy. Pedagogy is not really just method that we are talking about. The pedagogy includes everything. Your communication skills, your collaboration, your planning, your delivery, your assessment. Everything includes, and making sure that what you want to deliver, that is delivered to the child, and child has really understood. It's not really just passing on information to the child, but and then every child is not the same, coming from different background. I think this is the dilemma of our education system. And this yesterday, Dr. Siddiqui and other colleagues, they talked about reconceptualization of education. I think it's a high time that I think there's those teachers who believe that they are the champion in particular pedagogy. That pedagogy might have worked well in a certain context. But I think that we are living now in a very uncertain situation, and the environment, where things are changing so rapidly that we have to prepare our teachers in order to deal with the challenges of the uncertainty. So coming back to your question, this is a very important that for pre-service, yes, I do agree with both the speakers that we used to go to multiple pedagogies or innovative pedagogies, but mind you that the multiple or innovative pedagogy is not really that those pedagogies for the sake of there's a new labels. So we are not talking about the new labels, We are not talking about the new, nomenclature or the terms, but we are talking about those pedagogies which are very contextually relevant. I think this is really very key point that, we have to, and our teacher education programs, I'm sorry to say, many of us here are sitting here who have been dealing with the teacher education program, they tend to forget the context is more important than anything else. It's not the really completion of the syllabus. It's not really just, this winding up, completing the, semester and winding up his or her work. But this is more, important that, what has been planned, which is delivered and then conceived or understood, by the students. So I think this is a very important that, the teachers, we should develop for the locally or, or contextually pedagogies, so that, those pedagogies can make a difference in their, personal and professional lives. And particularly, I think Vikas Sahab, this referred to well-being. I think there's one pedagogy, single pedagogy, has, this advantages as well as a disadvantages. But my worry is that, single advantage may, this hinder students, well-being, which is academic as well as a social, this well-being. So that's one thing. The second thing is that with regard to in-service teachers, those who have been serving, this in teaching profession, this for a number of, years. And this is not really piece of criticism. I am a teacher and I don't want to really, offer that criticism, to others. Neither, this, my purpose is to criticize, this our serving teachers. But I think that our serving teachers, including myself, let me, put it in that way. We are so hung up with, this our own, this ideas, because we are confident and we know, this we are not going to fail. Because this, idea that I have tried, time and again, and I succeeded. But you succeeded in a different environment. And in changing environment, you might not succeed, So that we have to really reflect back on, the situation, and then we have to respond to the situation. But I think this in-service teachers, this, as I said, it's difficult to work with in-service teachers. This, if we have a plan well, that how we are going to help them, to rethink, to re-envision, the whole process of, this development of the pedagogies. Pedagogies are not really, fixed. These are developed, by the teachers. I think that, teachers should not really forget they are the pedagogue. They are the pedagogue. And pedagogies are the product of the pedagogues, It's not really, produced by Jerome Brunner or, this someone else. But, this is really the pedagogy is produced by the teacher, It may not be labeled as, so and so pedagogy, but, they should be really, this be careful while using the pedagogy. But the second thing is that, I would like to, and going back to Dr. Shahid Siddiqui's, point, when we start with the reconceptualization, I think there's a lot of, resistance. Because this is really, we carry, a lot of, ideas which have been really integral part of our, conscious and subconscious. And we think that, those ideas, we develop over a period of time, they have worked well. Now, why should we really sit back and reflect on those, those ideas? Because we know, these ideas have worked. But then again, question is that, yes, these might have worked, but this is a different time. It's a very challenging time. And the teachers, they have to start, create, space. And normally we use the word unlearn, and Dr. Siddiqui and Dr. Nasser Saab and other colleagues, use the word that, we have to really unlearn. Unlearn in order to create, this space so that, we can start working and modifying or updating, this our pedagogy. Certain ingredients, this our pedagogies might remain same, but, overall, substance and structure of the pedagogy might, this change, So that's again, my point is the pedagogy is not the teaching method. It's not the method. It includes everything, your communication, your body language, your planning, your behavior, your disposition. These are all parts of, your pedagogies. So I think this is those, institutions which are working on the CPD, and particularly in order to enhance teachers, professional competence, knowledge and disposition, and they have to really work hard. I think these are two different, scenarios and dimensions. pre-service and service. Those, the andragogies are the approaches that, we use in a pre-service education program may not, let me repeat, may not suit in service education, because in service education is a different, ball game, where they have to use, different, there's a practice in order to make, things happen. So again, that our in-service teachers, I think there's a lot of room, for their improvement, But sometimes, our teachers, they think that, that's more than enough, what they have got. But I think that they have to really revisit, this notion that they have to keep updating, and that's why, we have to really make them as a lifelong learners, so then they could not only change, their professional lives, but then, what is the role of, their, in the classroom is more important than anything else, and the role is how to transform, lives of the children. And those pedagogies, I firmly believe those pedagogies do make a lot of difference in changing, the personal lives of students.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I would quickly want to take questions. If there are any, please rise and tell us who you are, and then you can ask a question and you can tell us specifically if it is for a specific panelist. Any question? Mic Lauren, thank you. जी, whoever wants to ask a question, आप खड़े हो सकते हैं अपनी जगह पर ही खड़े हों, आपको माइक दे दिया जाएगा, and then you can ask question and tell us कि आप किस पैनलिस्ट से सवाल करना चाह रहे हैं. या तो हमने 2 दिन की कॉन्फ्रेंस में सारे सवालों के जवाब दे दिए हैं, राइट? या लोग सवाल कर कर के थक गए. यस सर, डॉक्टर जहीर प्लीज.
कोऑपरेटिव लर्निंग के बारे में जो रिसर्च ये कहती है कि वन ऑफ द इनोवेशन मेथड है, टीचिंग लर्निंग प्रोसेस को एनहांस करता है, इसके मल्टीपल यूजेस हैं. तो क्या आपके पास बीकन हाउस में ऐसी कोई एक्टिविटी नहीं है जिसमें कोई मास्टर ट्रेनर वगैरह हो, कोऑपरेटिव लर्निंग पे टीच करते हो?
कोऑपरेटिव लर्निंग एज अ पेडागोजी जी
इनोवेशन है ये.
हाँ, हाउ डू यू एड्रेस दैट प्लीज?
So I also want to add कि जो pedagogies जो हैं वो बहुत हद तक evidence based proven हो चुकी हैं. For example, formative assessment, for example, teacher reflection, teacher coaching, cooperative learning के लिए भी different pedagogies हैं. What we are not doing is we're not focusing on हम पेडागोजी को इतना बड़ा लफ्ज़ बना दिया है कि वो उसको हम समझ नहीं आ रहा कि किधर से पकड़ें और कहाँ से ख़त्म करें. बट पेडागोजीज़ जो हैं वो बहुत डिफरेंट कॉन्टेक्स्ट में, एंड आई थिंक हमारे जो एक एजुकेशन डिबेट का एक आई वुड से कि हम वी बिकम नेसेयर्स हो गए कि जी हमारे कॉन्टेक्स्ट में नहीं काम करेगा, ये उधर अमेरिका में काम कर गया, ये अफ्रीका में काम कर गया, ये हमारे में नहीं करेगा. बट इतनी ज़्यादा रिसर्च हो चुकी है कि आपको अभी मैं UN का न्यूयॉर्क में ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन एजुकेशन समिट हुआ है, एंड I was looking at the panelist list and there was nobody from Pakistan. There were people from all over the world, from Middle East to African countries, and nobody from Pakistan, because हमारा अभी तक हम शायद इतने dismissive हैं of international pedagogies कि वो हम शायद international forum के ऊपर बात करने के level पे पहुँचे नहीं हैं. In terms of cooperative learning, there are many pedagogies. What we need to focus on is firstly, आपने end पे बच्चा क्या produce करना है. So for example, Beacon House has a learner's profile. It's called the Beacon House learner's profile, जिसके अंदर there are multiple things that we want the learner, जब वो system से निकले तो उसमें ये qualities होनी चाहिए. एंड उस लर्नर प्रोफाइल को एड्रेस करने के लिए हमारा सारा स्ट्रक्चर उसके ऊपर काम करता है. But if you ask somebody from the government right now, I work with the SNC, they do not even have a values framework. आपको values framework कहीं भी बहुत कम नज़र आएगा. And good curriculum, which is the content that you will eventually teach, जो आपकी किताबें उस curriculum से बनती हैं, वो बन रही हैं without any value framework. So collaboration is something which is very important, and again I will say technology will not solve your problems. It is just a tool. It is a catalyst. It will help you, but it will not solve problems in terms of it can only be part of a larger, wider systemic effort. हम चीज़ को holistically नहीं देखते. हम इतनी छोटी granular चीज़ों के ऊपर हमारी बातचीत ही ख़त्म हो जाती है versus के there are everything. Education is a whole system. And so for example आपके टीचर ने बच्चे को पढ़ाना है, पर उस बच्चे को स्कूल भेजने के लिए किसी ने घर के ऊपर उसको वक्त पे सुलाना है, उठाना है, खाना खिला के उसे भेजना है. So if you do not work with those stakeholders, आपके जो सिस्टम है वो बस अभी तुक्के पे ही चल रहा है कि किसी का काम चल जाएगा.
Thank you so much. Any other question? जी ये माइक आगे दीजिएगा. वहाँ है कोई क्वेश्चन है? I would request कि क्वेश्चन होगा सर, डिटेल्ड कमेंट नहीं होगा इस वक्त. हम 2 दिन से काफ़ी बातें कर चुके हैं. ब्रीफ क्वेश्चन एंड टू विच पैनलिस्ट?
Science is real and it should be taught in real world. So teaching of scientific phenomena, if we use the simulation and they can improve our teaching. Have you any experience of using simulation in Beacon or school system?
Are you using simulations for teaching science and such subjects?
Yes, so simulation के लिए फिर आपके वो online programs जो हैं, so Generation Unlimited जो एक है, उसके अंदर थोड़ी बहुत हैं. So this all requires some online platform. So simulations के ऊपर yes, अभी तक it's been recognized कि अच्छा we need to provide a environment जहाँ, so for example हम अभी कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि जो हम soft boards बनाते हैं, उन soft boards के ऊपर QR code लिखें. उस QR code के ऊपर children can scan it, and so for example अगर उस soft board के ऊपर water system का बना हुआ है display, so उस QR code के through वो they can go into an environment जहाँ वो 3D model उनको नज़र आएगा. But this is something that we're still learning. It is something that we have identified कि अच्छा ज़रूरत है 3D modeling. Of course technology can ease it, but 3D models आप without technology भी बना सकते हैं. So science के लिए resource is very important, and we have to focus from teachers not being knowledge providers. अब वो बहुत archaic system हो गई है, because knowledge is not finite. ठीक है, we have to move to knowledge creators, teachers as knowledge creators. So teachers as knowledge creators, in the end we want autonomous learners जो घर भी बैठे हैं, कहीं भी, चाहे कोई disaster आ जाए, कुछ भी हो जाए, they can learn, and for that they need to be have some certain media literacy to decipher कि अच्छा कहाँ resources available हैं कि हम खुद जाकर उसके लिए सीख सकते हैं. But yes, in terms of simulations, yes, we have gone there, but I wouldn't say that the completely हम बहुत अच्छे simulative
I think
environment.
more or less in any institution in Pakistan, if we ask this question, we are on the level कि हम अभी इसको डिज़ाइन करने की कोशिश में हैं. I don't think we have found any school system or any institution who can say कि हाँ जी हमने अपने resources के साथ कोई ऐसे simulations लोकल कंटेंट के ऊपर या करिकुलम के ऊपर डेवलप किए हैं. क्विकली लास्ट क्वेश्चन, बिकॉज आवर पैनलिस्ट हैव टू लीव एज वेल. जी, वन एंड देन.
I'm Shirbaz from Sargoda. I have a question from Waqas Sahab. In that, is there any plan to introduce Microsoft Lens in Microsoft Hololens in our education system? That is the product of Microsoft.
Indeed, my answer is no, because when you talk about education, the first thing which it's an expensive technology. It's an amazing technology, no doubt about it. But definitely, schools' focus right now is on the other things like teaching and learning, bringing computer back into bringing tablets, etc., etc. So, as far as Pakistan is concerned, because we are working with the team very closely in Middle East and Africa, there is no school in Pakistan. Definitely on individual level, you can procure it, you can start. I remember I was in Singapore, I had an experience of using Hololens. That was an amazing technology. So the people who don't know about then, even, it's basically a way out of technology to teach different concepts. For example, in Mutala, Pakistan, you want to see Mohenjo-daro right here, like by sitting here. So that sort of technology will enable you to visit the whole place instantly with no minutes. So the student concept will actually be up to the mark, and definitely their concept would be clear. So indeed no, unfortunately, but we are hoping for the best in future.
Vijay, looking at the time, because I know one of our panelists has to take a flight, so we are holding other questions to future. और हम ये भी कर सकते हैं कि if you send us your questions, we can generate an online discussion as we are talking about the technologies. I would request Professor Dr. Nasir Mahmood to conclude the session as session chair, and then we can move on with the final speech. Sir.
Thank you. इस कॉन्फ्रेंस के बाद ना मेरा नाम कंक्लूजन हो जाना है जो कि मुश्किल सा काम है जी. We had a lot of discussion in last 2 days जी, in different sessions, और अभी भी our panelists, we requested them to talk about way forward, like future of education जो हमने infer किया इन दिनों में. The theme basically is all we know. What we talked in these 2 days is education for future, and we believe that there are 7 ways of looking at education for future. One is through the lens of technological interventions. This is one way of moving forward, or you can say one arc through which we can move forward. Then we talked about online modes of education, distance education, innovative pedagogies. We have talked a lot even today about it. And then 21st century skills, sustainable development. These are different dimensions in which our future education is supposed to be shaped, taking care of all these things. Now, instead of repeating all that what we have learned in last 2 days, I would conclude by just picking 4 or 5 cautions for us when we are moving forward. This is our nature, human nature rather. कि we get excited about whenever something new comes, overexcited about it. अभी पिछले 1-2 साल में कोविड में हमें ना ऑनलाइन के बारे में हम क्योंकि we all have experienced it, तो somehow we have become optimistic about possibilities through this online education. इसकी अपनी limitations हैं. हमें आगे move करते वक्त उन limitations को जो कि इस मीडियम में मौजूद हैं और जो ऑन ग्राउंड हमारे सामने एज ए कंट्री मौजूद हैं, उनको ज़हन में रखते हुए इस शिफ्ट की तरफ चलना चाहिए. आई सपोज अगर आप ब्लाइंडली मैं ये देखूं कि अच्छा अमेरिका ये करता है तो पाकिस्तान को भी कर लेना चाहिए. टेक्नोलॉजी तो बॉर्डरलेस है, इतनी बॉर्डरलेस नहीं है मेरे अंदाजे में. इससे इसके अपनी वो चीज़ें. दूसरी बात जो है, हमने हर चीज़ को ना, मैं इसको कहता हूँ अनरियलिस्टिक जो कंपैरिजन्स बनाने शुरू किए, इनके बारे में भी कॉन्शियस रहना चाहिए जी. मेरे ख्याल में हम टेक्नोलॉजी से हमारी एक्सपेक्टेशंस जो है ना वो बियॉन्ड मीडियम चली गई हैं. टेक्नोलॉजी एक मोड ऑफ डिलीवरी है. इसके पीछे जो मटेरियल डिलीवर करना है, जिसने करना है वो, और उसके आउटकम्स ये पहले से एग्जिस्ट करते हैं. उनको रिव्यू हम हमेशा से करते चले आ रहे हैं. टेक्नोलॉजी ने फोर्स नहीं करना उनको रिव्यू करने पे. टेक्नोलॉजी ने आपको एक बेहतर प्लेटफॉर्म प्रोवाइड कर दिया जिसके ज़रिए से आप पहले से बेहतर एनेबल्ड हैं, लेकिन वो हर मसले का हल नहीं है. वी नो इस तरह के कंपैरिजन से अगर हम चलना शुरू करेंगे कि पहले और अब और इस प्लेटफॉर्म हमें क्या क्या दे देगा, तो शायद हम फिर किसी और ऐसी तरफ चलेंगे जिसका एंड अनएक्सपेक्टेड होगा, अच्छा शायद उस तरह से ना हो। तीसरी चीज़ जो है मेरे नज़दीक, आजकल एक और ओवर एम्फेसिस है एजुकेशन में हम कर रहे हैं, कल भी हमने बात की थी, डॉक्टर हिंद साहब को याद होगा हमने, कि शॉर्ट कोर्सेज फॉर स्किल डेवलपमेंट, ये आज का फैशन है और शायद ज़रूरत भी है। मैंने ख़ुद भी कहा कि लोग कहते हैं कि देयर आर अबाउट 6 मिलियन जॉब्स जो कि इस पर्टिकुलर लेवल के लिए मौजूद हैं, जहाँ पे एक छोटी सी स्किल रखने वाले बंदे को मुलाजिम रखा जाएगा और वो वही काम सारी ज़िंदगी करता रहेगा और आपके अपने लिए लाइवलीहुड अर्न करेगा और ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के लिए वो आउटपुट जनरेट करेगा। लेकिन इसको वर्सेस आपके जो रेगुलर अंडरग्रेड प्रोग्राम्स हैं या ग्रेजुएट प्रोग्राम्स हैं उनके वर्सेस नहीं देखना चाहिए। ये एक शॉर्ट लिव्ड सी अपॉर्चुनिटी है, इसको कैश ज़रूर करना चाहिए, लेकिन आपको अपनी फ्यूचर की एजुकेशन इसके गिर्द बिल्ड नहीं करनी चाहिए। उसकी बेसिस वही फाउंडेशंस, फंडामेंटल्स वही रहने चाहिए जिस पे लॉन्ग रन में एजुकेशन को प्लान किया जाता है। जिन सब्जेक्ट्स पे एम्फेसिस होता है उन पे रहना चाहिए, अंडरग्रेड प्रोग्राम्स रहने चाहिए और उनकी अफादियत भी अपनी जगह पे रहनी चाहिए। सो इसका भी हमें ध्यान रखना चाहिए जब हम फ्यूचर की एजुकेशन को डिस्कस कर रहे हैं। दूसरी चीज़ एक और, जो ये सारा सिनेरियो जब बदल रहा है ना जी, तो साथ ही नॉर्म्स एंड वैल्यूज़ भी बदल रहे हैं। अब जो स्टूडेंट रिलेशनशिप, स्टूडेंट टीचर रिलेशनशिप, फ्रेंडशिप्स, कोलैबोरेशंस, इनके मीनिंग अब वो वाले नहीं रहे जो प्री कोविड या प्री टेक्नोलॉजी पीरियड में रहे थे। ठीक है, there can be collaborators who have never physically met each other. There can be platforms where you are not physically present but it has its own norms, उसकी अपनी values हैं जी। So हमें साथ साथ अगर आप इसको बढ़ाए बगैर, यानी आप अपने norms और values को review किए बगैर नए एवेन्यूज़ और नए प्लेटफॉर्म्स में एंटर होते जाएंगे तो ये एक और तरह की chaos जनरेट करेगा। सो हमें साथ साथ उन चीज़ों को भी रिविज़िट करके अपने आप को एज ए स्टूडेंट या एज ए टीचर या एज इंस्टीट्यूशन अपने आप को रीपोजिशन करना चाहिए। ओनली देन वी कैन टॉक अबाउट दिस डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ एजुकेशन इन फ्यूचर। इसी तरह एक दो पॉइंट्स और हैं जी, सिर्फ डिस्पैरिटीज़ हैं हमारे यहाँ बहुत सारी। हमारे मुल्क में आप ऐसे इदारे भी ढूंढ सकते हैं जिनको आप दुनिया के किसी भी दूसरे इदारे से कंपेयर कर सकते हैं। हमारे पास एलीट किस्म के सेटअप्स हैं, लेकिन दूसरी तरफ हमारे पास ऐसे भी स्कूल मौजूद हैं जो एक दरख्त के नीचे एक टीचर चंद बच्चों को लेके पढ़ाता है। जो मैं फ्यूचर की एजुकेशन सोचता हूँ, आप सोचिए कितना मेरे लिए मुश्किल टास्क है कि मैं ऐसी चीज़ डेवलप करूँ जो इन दोनों के लिए रेलिवेंट हो। ना मैं उनको छोड़ना चाहता हूँ, ना मैं इनको छोड़ सकता हूँ। एंड दिस इज़ अ स्पेक्ट्रम, ये दो एंड्स हैं, इसके दरमियान और बहुत सारी वेरिएशन है। सो जब आप इंक्लूसिवनेस की बात करते हैं ना जी आज के दौर में, तो वो यही कहती है कि आपको ऐसे, इसका मतलब है कोई सिंगल पाथवे आपके लिए हो नहीं सकता इस मुल्क में। मुख्तलिफ तरह के पाथवेज हैं जिनमें से आपको हर कॉन्टेक्चुअली रेलेवेंट चीज़ को चूज़ करना है। सो आप एक सोल्यूशन नहीं बना सकते। ये मेरे नज़दीक चंद बातें हैं जिनको, और इनोवेशन जो है बार बार हम कहते हैं ना, पता नहीं इसके मीनिंग मुझे नहीं समझ आते, लेकिन अपने तौर पे जो मैं सोचता हूँ वो ये है, ये आसमान से कुछ नया नहीं गिरता। चीज़ों को अपसाइड डाउन करने का नाम इनोवेशन नहीं होता। इनोवेशन इंक्रीमेंटल चीज़ है जो आपके एग्जिस्टिंग के अंदर पॉसिबिलिटीज़ को बढ़ाने के लिए आप चेंजेस लाते हैं। कोई नई चीज़ कहीं से हमेशा उठा के ले लेना, ये शायद इनोवेशन नहीं है। अगर इस मीनिंग अगर मैं ठीक समझता हूँ और आप एग्री करते हैं, तो फिर इसकी बहुत सारी इम्प्लीकेशन है जी जब आप फ्यूचर ऑफ एजुकेशन को सोचते हैं इस मुल्क में। सो मेरे नज़दीक ये बहुत सारी बातें जो करने वाली हैं वो आपने कल से बहुत सारी सुनी भी और की भी। करते वक्त जिन चीज़ों का ध्यान रखना चाहिए, हमें ज़हन में रखना चाहिए कि ये भी रियलिटीज़ हैं। सो वो मेरे ज़हन में था कि आखिर में आपसे शेयर कर लीजिए, क्योंकि हर दफ़ा बोलना बड़ा मुश्किल काम है।
थैंक यू।
हर सेशन के बाद बोलना मुश्किल होता है।
थैंक यू
थैंक यू
सो मच। आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट जी, फराब कुछ कह रही हैं जी।
एक जो डिजिटल राइट्स का ना, देयर आर 3 C's टू इट. योर कॉम्पिटेंसीज, कंटेंट एंड कनेक्टिविटी. कॉम्पिटेंसीज जो हैं वो यूनिवर्सली इस्टेब्लिश हो चुकी हैं, चाहे आप OECD का कोई फ्रेमवर्क निकाल लें या कोई. सो द स्टैंडर्ड आई थिंक जो एक एलीट स्कूल का स्टैंडर्ड है और जो एक ये दरख्त के नीचे बैठे हुए स्कूल का जो स्टैंडर्ड है उसको डिफरेंट नहीं रखना चाहिए. हाउ यू अचीव दैट स्टैंडर्ड इज़ डिफरेंट. सो उस एलीट स्कूल के लिए शायद 3 steps रिक्वायर्ड होंगी, बट उस जो दरख्त वाला स्कूल है उसके लिए शायद 10-20 steps रिक्वायर्ड. बस उस स्टैंडर्ड को आई थिंक कम नहीं करना चाहिए. वहाँ इनइक्वालिटी आती है. दैट्स हाउ यू आर इंट्रोड्यूसिंग इनइक्वालिटी इन द सोसाइटी. एंड राइट नाउ कोविड ने टेक्नोलॉजी की वजह से वो इनइक्वालिटी इन्हांस कर दी है, बिकॉज यू हैड स्कूल्स दैट वर ऑपरेटिंग एंड देन देयर वर गवर्नमेंट स्कूल जो कम्प्लीटली शट डाउन हुए थे. सो आई थिंक गवर्नमेंट को भी एक बिगर लेवल पे देखना चाहिए, जो हमने अभी बिल्कुल भी बात नहीं की है, वो इंटरनेट का.
वो हम इसलिए नहीं करे फिर कि ये एजुकेटर्स बैठे में इनमें से कोई भी बेचारा जो है ना वो गवर्नमेंट नहीं कर रहा इस वक्त.
नहीं.
तो हम इसलिए डायरेक्टली एजुकेटर्स से डिस्कस कर रहे हैं कि व्हाट दे कैन डू एट क्लासरूम.
आई थिंक इनोवेशन का जो है, सो देयर आर थिंग्स दैट इंटरनेट कैन प्रोवाइड, और वो हमारे कंट्रोल में इतना नहीं है. एंड देन देयर आर थिंग्स व्हिच आर अवेलेबल जो नॉन इंटरनेट वेज के अंदर. फॉर एग्जांपल MP3 सोलर पैनल रिकॉर्डर्स जो हैं वो अवेलेबल हैं.
Thank you so much. And with that, as Dr. Nasir concluded, I think very well कि ये तमाम चीज़ें हम ढूंढ सकते हैं, हमारे आसपास मौजूद हैं, लेकिन फिर उनको इस्तेमाल कैसे करना है उसके लिए हमारे कुलीग हामिद अली नदीम अभी शायद हॉल ही में हो, वो कभी भी कोई फ़ाइल लेके आते हैं तो कहते हैं कि मैडम ये फ़ाइल उन्होंने भेजी है, साथ एहतियात परहेज़ बताया है. तो डॉक्टर नासिर ने हमें एक्चुअली साथ एहतियात परहेज़ बताया है. सो थैंक यू सो मच टू द पैनलिस्ट्स एज वेल, and I would request the session chair and the panelists to come at front of the stage, and please present. We will present the souvenirs to them. Okay जी. First of all, Miss Farah Rehman, please receive you. आगे आइए सर, आप भी आ सकते. मिस्टर वकास, आप इधर आ जाओ. नमन आप इधर आ जाओ, हम देते जाते हैं. जी प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर मोहम्मद मेमन.
Why I'm saying that, I was not originally part of,
Yes, we know.
as a result of something, the cycle, so this is
Thank you. Thank you so much. I would request my panelists to please take seats, and I promise our last session is our last session is the keynote speech, and I hand over mic to Dr. Sidra.
I would like to call upon stage Professor Dr. Mahmood Butt. Sir, please join us on stage. Dr. Mahmood Al-Hassan Butt has joined us on the stage. Our keynote speaker is Professor Dr. Irfan Rinth. Currently, Dr. Rinth is working as a professor and head of the education department at Sakhar IBA University. He is also associated with Teachers College, Columbia University, USA, and the Center of International Education, University of Sussex, UK, as an international research fellow. Dr. Rinth has a master's degree in English literature with a gold medal, a second master's degree in applied linguistics, and a PhD in education from the University of Sussex, UK. He has a postdoctorate from Harvard University and a second postdoctorate from Columbia University, USA. Dr. Rinth worked for the Center of International Education, University of Sussex, and UNESCO before joining Sakhar IBA in 2013. He is the pioneering head of the education department and has been leading the department since then. Dr. Rinth is a seasoned researcher and has published more than 40 research papers, reports. He has conducted several trainings sponsored by national and international organizations. He is also a member of various national and international committees and has been highly vocal about quality education in general and quality of teacher education in specific. His topic of discussion today is understanding STEM education from the perspective of epistemic beliefs and metacognitive awareness of teachers. I would like to welcome Professor Dr. Irfan Rinth on stage. Sir, please join us. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, madam. And आपकी तारीफ आपने इतनी की कि रात का डिनर मेरी तरफ से. So first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Nasir Mahmood for his invitation, kind invitation, to present my ideas here. And of course, the enthusiastic leadership of Dr. Afshan Huma, who have not sat for a single minute, and she reminded me my gym where I used to walk a lot. So well done job, madam. So I'm going to talk about something which is going to be very boring, of course. और ये हमारा वो टाइम है जिस वक्त हमें चाय की ज़रूरत है और यहाँ पर हम STEM की बात कर रहे हैं. So what is STEM? Is it something which is provided by us, by these mighty Americans? The idea is no, it's just a concept. ये एक सोच का नाम है और एक ऐसी सोच है जिसमें we have to add, we have to integrate, we have to combine four school of thoughts together, which is quite rare. So we are talking about science, technology, we are talking about engineering and mathematics. ये एक ऐसी सोच का नाम है where we are going to think about these four technologies as one. बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है. इनफैक्ट अगर इसकी हम बात करें तो ये इस डिपार्टमेंट के जो लोग हैं ना एक दूसरे के साथ लड़ना शुरू कर देंगे. That's what Pakistan is. But let's see what happened. Let's see कि STEM basically स्कूल लेवल पर होता क्या है. Can you look at these pictures? Now these pictures are the representation or pictorial representation of STEM. If you happen to see these activities, there is involved the concept of mathematics. You can see there are the concepts of engineering because these students are supposed to do something. And of course, slowly and gradually the word technology will also be coming into it, but because that's very basics. But when we just move forward, look at these activities from innovation point of view. We'll talk about what is innovation, but let's see where the innovation comes from. So our colleagues will keep talking about innovation. Does innovation comes out of like you went to Harvard and then you become innovative? No. The innovation starts from the school. Again, as I said, that innovation is the outcome of an approach. हमारे बच्चे को हम शुरू में कुछ इस तरह सिखाते हैं. Look at this is one of the most basic activity. It has the concept of science, it has the concept of engineering, it has the concept of technology. And then when the same student actually moves to the slightly little next level, you can see that now they are adding little more gadget. And then they move to this stage where they are now adding some more chemicals into it. And then maybe a little bit more advanced because that's how they have been grown. And then a little bit more. And eventually that's the outcome. Problem ये है कि हम कहते हैं rocket science जो है ना वो out of blue नहीं बनते. So we would like to see rocket scientists, but we do not want to start from the very beginning. That's where the problem of our generation is, or our educationist is. Let's see what Pakistan is. अच्छा ये 2015 में एक global innovative index देख रहा था मैं, and that's where I see Pakistan. एक around 140 countries usually take part into it. ये latest है. That's where the Pakistan is on 99th number. I'm still happy about it. You know why? Because in 2015 the Pakistan was at 135 out of 137, I guess. So when we are at 99, I'm still happy. But if I can zoom a little bit more, I can show you that there are so many of the other countries which are way more advanced than us. Kyun? Why we are not able to achieve the next level of innovation? Dr. Nasser ने बहुत अच्छी बात की थी कि sometimes we become very much pragmatic and we try to promote those skills जिससे हमारे बच्चों को जॉब तो मिल जाती है लेकिन बस वही जॉब होती है, उसमें इनोवेशन कभी नहीं आती. Let's see. अब what happened that कि ये जो statistics थे, these statistics were highlighted a lot, और पिछले 4-5 साल से हमारी गवर्नमेंट जो है वो बहुत ज़्यादा काम कर रही है, एटलीस्ट सोच तो उनकी है. अब क्या सोच है? Let's see what are their thinking. So उन्होंने क्या किया कि what they think, they say okay let's bring some change. क्या change करते हैं? Let's update the text. पता चला कि टेक्स्ट को अपडेट किया, करिकुलम को रिवाइज कर दिया उन्होंने. निचले लेवल की बात कर रहा हूँ, डाउनवर्ड्स. हमारे स्कूल्स में, गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स में कुछ लैब्स को इस्टेब्लिश किया, कुछ को रिफर्बिश किया, और इन सर्विस ट्रेनिंग्स जो थी वो बहुत ही मैसिव लेवल पे करवाना शुरू कर दी. हम ही नहीं करवाई, फॉर एग्जांपल all of us are here. और वहाँ पर एक नया कॉन्सेप्ट था जो अगेन रॉकेट साइंस था और कहीं बाहर से आया था. दैट वाज इंक्वायरी बेस्ड टीचिंग. किसी ने फंडिंग दी और कहा कि भाई ये टेक्नोलॉजी, बस ये मेथोडोलॉजी आप सिखा लो लोगों को ना, आप बस पाकिस्तान तरक्की कर जाएगा. हमने कहा पैसे कितने दोगे? उन्होंने कहा इतने भी देंगे. हमने कहा चले बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम. हमने शुरू कर दिया इंक्वायरी बेस्ड अप्रोच सिखाना, और हमारा जो एम था, द एम वॉज कि इंक्वायरी बेस्ड विल प्रमोट क्रिएटिविटी, इट विल प्रमोट क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग, इट विल प्रमोट एनालिटिकल स्किल्स, एंड इट विल मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंटली एम्पावर स्टूडेंट्स. क्योंकि इंक्वायरी बेस्ड अप्रोच इज द अप्रोच वेयर आप बच्चे को मटीरियल पहले दे देते हो, उस पर आप ट्रस्ट करते हो, यू कैन इसके गो रीड इट, and then you come in the class, and then instead of telling them, you are asking them. And once when they stop, once when you feel that they are not able to respond, आप उनको कुछ prompts देते हो, they read those prompts, once again you keep asking them question. A wonderful approach, an approach where students actually have been empowered to respond the way they want to respond. बहुत ही interesting एक pedagogy है. और ये सारी चीज़ें जब होती हैं तो इट प्रोमोट्स इनोवेशन एंड इट प्रोमोट्स क्रिएटिविटी. और इस अप्रोच का जो आउटकम है ना, अगले 10 साल में मिलना था हमें. ब्लूम्स टैक्सोनॉमी बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट टैक्सोनॉमी है जो हम बहुत ज़्यादा रिलीजियसली इस्तेमाल करते हैं. इफ़ यू हैपन टू सी दैट इंक्वायरी बेस्ड टीचिंग अप्रोच टारगेट्स लिटरली टू द हायर ऑर्डर स्किल्स. इट मेक्स स्टूडेंट्स टू एनालाइज थिंग्स. यू पुट देम इनटू सिचुएशन वेयर दे एनालाइज थिंग्स, they evaluate things, or during this process of evaluation and analyzing there's a possibility, what Dr. Nasir Mahmood said, that there's a possibility कि उसमें कोई creation आ जाए, कोई innovation आ जाए, because that's how the innovation takes place within the context sometimes. तो हमारी expectation क्या थी? trainings हो गई, expectations बड़ी ज़बरदस्त थी. हमारी expectation थी कि भाई we will have the teachers who will implement inquiry based teaching approach, क्योंकि हमने training करवा दी थी उनको. Teachers who will promote questioning and research culture in the class, उनको हमने ट्रेनिंग करवाई तो एक्सपेक्टेशन तो बनती है ना. Teachers who will promote learner centered approach. अब ये learner centered approach है क्या, इसके बारे में बात करते हैं. And most importantly ये वो टीचर्स होंगे जिनमें वो बर्दाश्त होगा जिसको हम कहते हैं बर्दाश्त of having the approach of interdisciplinary approach. In other words, कि जिनमें ये लड़ाई नहीं होगी कि मैं मैथमेटिक्स का हूँ, तुम फिजिक्स का हो, मेरे डोमेन में घुसने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. मतलब दे विल बी ओपन टू इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी अप्रोच. दैट वाज द आइडिया एंड अल्टीमेटली स्टेम. राइट? हुआ क्या? रियलिटी कुछ अलग थी. हमने कुछ फॉलोअप रिसर्च की, एंड व्हाट वी फाउंड वाज समथिंग वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. व्हाट वी फाउंड कि सबसे पहले कि वो सारे जो हमारे टीचर्स थे जिनको हमने ट्रेनिंग करवा के भेजा था, all of them remembered the concepts very nicely. They remembered each and every definitions, each and every wonderful technique, but they were struggling to implement the inquiry based approach. उसके अलावा हमने थोड़ा सा रिजल्ट भी देखा कि क्या बच्चों के साइंस का जो कंटेंट है उसमें कोई फ़र्क आया. The answer was no. They were good in memorization, but the students were not even able to solve some of the comprehensive or even application type of questions as well. तो यहाँ पर हमें पता चला कि there is something wrong the way we are approaching this particular problem. यहाँ तक तो बात हो गई established. अब इसको क्या करना चाहिए? I mean, why and how to understand that? अब यहाँ पे मेरा रोल आता है. So what I did, I tried to understand this, understand, not solve. I tried to understand this issue from the perspective of epistemology. Epistemology is the study of what knowledge is and how we acquire it. बहुत ही funny answer है, बहुत situation में मैं आपको put कर सकता हूँ, time का मसला है. We all are teachers and our main business is to deal with the knowledge. And if I would ask you what is knowledge, let me try that. So what is knowledge? Would you like to define what is knowledge? Give it a shot. Anybody? Okay, let's open. Anybody? What's knowledge? Let's see. Knowledge is your belief. So what is belief? किसने का power? What is power then?
Ideas.
So what is idea, sir? What is certainty? बहुत अच्छा word आपने इस्तेमाल किया. What is certainty?
Certainty is that you believe that this is an authentic information.
What is authentic? बहुत अच्छा word आपने इस्तेमाल किया. What do you mean by authentic? Yeah, great.
Reliable.
What is reliable? Yes, what is reliable?
Knowledge is something reality which we can actually construct by our own.
Knowledge is knowing something. तो फिर वही गेम आ जाती है कि what is knowing, sir? So what is understanding? चलें. I don't know. I put you in the situation. जी मैडम, आप try करें. So what is cognition? Meta को तो बाद में देखते हैं. चले कोई बात नहीं. 3 Idiot मूवी देखी आपने? उसमें वो डेफिनेशन पूछता है व्हाट इज मशीन. तो जो दूसरा बंदा वो जिप को करता है तो उसको बाहर निकाल देता है, लेकिन जो दूसरी अच्छी डेफिनेशन बताता है उसे कहता है क्या बात है. तो I'm going to come back to that. See, we are confused what knowledge is, isn't it? Little bit, not now. Maybe I'm making you confused, but let's try to wait for a minute and see के just the field which is our specialization, that is knowledge. Are we clear about the knowledge or not? So, the branch of the philosophy which deals with what knowledge is and how it can be acquired is called epistemology. और ये epistemology दो किस्म की होती हैं. एक को हम कहते हैं philosophical epistemology, दूसरे को हम कहते हैं personal epistemology. Now, philosophical epistemology actually deals with the subjects, disciplines. हमारे पास वैसे तो बहुत सारे हैं. I'm going to only discuss 2. One is empirical positivism, and the other is constructivism. Empirical positivism deals with the social science, life science, and evidence based, of course. जब इनसे पूछा जाएगा what knowledge is, तो empirical positivism believes कि knowledge is something which exists independent of human perception. I repeat, knowledge एक ऐसी चीज है जो किसी भी इंसान के देखने या सोचने के नजरिए की मोहताज नहीं है. It is based on facts and figures which has to be empirically examined, and only the experts, the people who are qualified to discover that knowledge, they are qualified to do that. And that's how the knowledge becomes fixed. 2 + 2 = 4, full stop. Does not make any difference if you want to say 5 or 6. We'll come back to that. So, and whereas the constructivism, which deals with the branches of social sciences, just हमारे पास humanities, anthropology, education, when you ask them what knowledge is, so they say knowledge is dependent of human perception. It is the human who perceive things, they interact with their surroundings, and they construct their own knowledge and understanding. That's where one individual who's have an understanding might be different from this individual. और यही हम सुबह से बात करते आ रहे हैं कि there is no fixed pedagogy, there is no, because every individual have their own uniqueness. And that's why अगर ये school of thought constructivism ना होता तो the theology as a branch won't exist, because theology promotes there are multiple religions. Anthropology would not have existed, and so forth and so on. 10 minutes. All right. So, yeah, 10 minutes. Thank you. See, ये dinner का जो लालच है. All right. And then there's this is related to the discipline, but then there is personal epistemology, जिसको नाम हम कहते हैं epistemic beliefs भी कहते हैं. Now here this is related to a common ordinary person. Each of us as a common ordinary person have our faith about what knowledge is and how learning is and what is the source of knowledge. तो हमारे पास इसमें research बताती है कि the first group of the people who believe that knowledge is fixed, I repeat, knowledge is fixed, it is produced by experts or bade, ठीक, who are qualified or who are bade, right, who have the wisdom, and they put that knowledge into, record that knowledge into books, और जो बड़े होते हैं वो उसको religiously word of mouth के जरिए transfer करते हैं throughout the generation. So since the knowledge is fixed, they believe that learning is to memorize those fixed knowledge, right? And the process of learning as itself is an innate ability. तो हमारे यहाँ जो बड़े थे या जो बड़े scientists हैं, they are qualified to discover new knowledge because they are God-gifted people or well qualified. And learning is to memorize those fixed knowledge. And I as an ordinary person, अल्लाह ताला ने मुझे ऐसा बना ही नहीं है कि मैं उस लेवल पर जाके सोच के उनको चैलेंज कर पाऊँ. We call them dualist. वक्त के साथ साथ ये dualist कैसे बनता है? Now that's very challenging. ये dualist कैसे बनता है? यहाँ से स्टार्ट करते हैं, फिर चीज़ें समझना आसान हो जाएंगी. ये dualist बनता है घर से. हम बचपन में पैदा होते हैं, अल्लाह ताला ने हमें बहुत ज़्यादा क्यूरियस बनाया होता है. We start, बच्चा पैदा होता है, उसकी क्यूरोसिटी स्टार्ट होती है मुंह से, हर चीज़ उसे टेस्ट करनी होती है, फिर टच करना होता है, फिर वो सुनता है, फिर जब उसको अल्लाह ताला ने ज़बान बोलने की सलाह दी होती है तो वो फिर पूछता है. एंड दैट्स वेयर हज़रत पेरेंट्स कम इन. वो थके हारे होते हैं हमारे पाकिस्तानी, बहुत ज़्यादा उनके साथ मसले होते हैं. बच्चा बात करता है, पहले से इग्नोर करते हैं, ज़्यादा बात करता है उसे डांटते हैं, और ज़्यादा बात करता है 2 चपेड़े मार देते हैं. हमें जब उनको बिहेवियर कोई चेंज करना होता है तो बिहेवियर चेंज करने का भी बहुत अच्छा तरीका है. फॉर एग्जांपल, बचपन में अगर हम दरख्त के नीचे सोते थे तो हमें क्या कहा जाता था बताएं? जिन आ जाता है. बहुत ज़बरदस्त. अगर आपने कैंची ऐसी चलाई है, खाली कैंची, तो क्या होता है? घर में लड़ाई हो जाती है. ओके, अच्छा, फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर आप ऐसे चारपाई में बैठे हैं और ऐसे टांगे ऐसे हिला रहे हो तो क्या कहते हैं? क्या कहते हैं? शैतान को आ जाता है. The problem is that our parents learned a technique that's called behavioristic technique from our elders, from their elders. If you want to change the behavior, an undesirable behavior of a kid, do not explain them, just simply give them a fear. Manusiyat, ye masla, wo masla. So what happened that once when the concept of jinn, manusiyat, ghar mein jhagda ho jayega, so you get the psychological burden not to repeat that behavior. एंड जब उनसे पूछें जिन क्या होता है तो वो कहते हैं तौबा करो बेटा. अब जिन के बाद आप क्या कर सकते हैं, राइट? सो व्हाट एग्जैक्टली हैपेंड, दैट्स हाउ वी आर ग्रोन. और जब उनसे पूछा जाता है कि किसने कहा, वो कहते बड़े कहते थे, खत्म बात. अच्छा, बड़े के कोई बड़ा जिंदा होता है तो उसके पास आप चल जाते हैं, आपको किसने कहा? वो हमारे बड़े ने कहा. उनकी कब्र पे जाके दुआ करने के बाद कहते हैं ये आपको किसने कहा था? वहां से भी आवाज है कि मेरे भी बड़े ने कहा था, राइट? नाउ वंस व्हेन दैट किड एक्चुअली गोज टू द स्कूल, तो उस स्कूल में उसी किस्म का एक टीचर बैठा होता है जो उसको किताब में कहता है ए फॉर एप्पल, बी फॉर बॉल. ए फॉर एप्पल की जगह कुछ और कह दिया है तो चपेट आ जाती है बहुत ज़बरदस्त किस्म की. आज तक अगर मैं आपसे ABC पूछूं तो आप एग्जैक्टली वही बताएंगे जो आपने याद किया होगा. और वो बंदा कभी भी आपने कभी कोशिश की हो कि किताब में कुछ लिखा हुआ है और आपने कहा नहीं ये सही नहीं है, तो आपको वहाँ पर अच्छी खासी फेटी पड़ती हो. पहले तो आपको इग्नोर करेंगे, अगर आपने इग्नोर से भी नहीं हुआ तो फिर आपको थोड़ी डांट देंगे, इंसल्ट कर देंगे वहाँ पर भी, नहीं तो आपको फिजिकल पनिशमेंट करते हैं. और उसके बाद उसी स्कूल के बाद आप जब कॉलेज में आते तो फिर वंस अगेन द सेम आइडिया हैज़ बीन रीइंफोर्स्ड. यहाँ पे किसी ने मुझे कहा था, डॉक्टर अयाज बैठे हुए थे, उन्होंने कहा कि इंटर में मैंने जो साइंस पढ़ी थी वो आज तक मुझे काम नहीं आई. उसके बाद मैंने एक छोटा सा कोर्स पढ़ा जो बेसिक था, वहाँ से मुझे पता चला कि साइंटिफिक कॉन्सेप्ट कितने इंपॉर्टेंट है. इंटरमीडिएट तक आपको चैलेंज नहीं कर सकते जो आपको पढ़ाया जाता है, यू कांट रियली चैलेंज। और उसके बाद आप जब यूनिवर्सिटी पहुंचते हैं तो फिर हमारे जैसे टीचर बैठे होते हैं, फिर हम वंस अगेन वी आर द अथॉरिटी, हम कोट करते हैं। जब भी हमें कोई आपको सिखाना होता है, आइदर वी कोट अ वंडरफुल इंग्लिश रिसर्चर, और ज़्यादा नहीं तो हम इंग्लिश रिसर्चर को यहाँ पे लेके आते हैं, बस फिर फुल स्टॉप। सो व्हाट एग्जैक्टली हैपेंड दैट वंस आई कोट द नेम ऑफ अ इंग्लिश रिसर्चर, आप चैलेंज नहीं कर सकते भाई अब इसका नाम क्या हुआ। इसीलिए मैंने यहाँ पे अपने इंट्रोडक्शन में लिखा कि भाई कह देंगे या हार्वर्ड से और कोलंबिया से आया। वाई? बिकॉज देन यू विल लिसन। इस अप्रोच से हम बड़े होते हैं, ड्यूलिस्ट हम पैदा होते हैं, पैदा तो नहीं होते, हमारे पेरेंट्स हमें ड्यूलिस्ट बनाते हैं और फिर यूनिवर्सिटी तक हम ड्यूलिस्ट बन के वापस आते हैं। और फिर जब हमें कहा जाता है कि देयर माइट बी एन इनोवेशन, इट्स नॉट पॉसिबल। वाई? हो ही नहीं सकता, पाकिस्तान में तो बिल्कुल ये चांस है ही नहीं। लेकिन हम में से कुछ ऐसे होते हैं जिनके पेरेंट्स उनको मौका देते हैं, वो फिर अच्छे स्कूल्स में जाते हैं, वो चीज़ वहाँ पे ग्रूम होती है। वो क्या कहते हैं? व्हाट इज नॉलेज फॉर देम? उनके लिए नॉलेज इज नॉट फिक्स्ड, knowledge is my understanding of the things. Expert is only a colleague. Elders are very good, they are very helpful, but their opinion is not fixed opinion. Their opinion is only helping me to understand to that idea. And learning is all about interaction. Learning is interaction, interacting different circumstances, right? And learning ability is gradual. आज शायद मुझे कम पता है, लेकिन let me ask question. Let me keep asking question till the point when I'm going to reach to that point. एक वक्त आएगा कि मैं और मेरा सुपरवाइजर एक ही कुर्सी पे बैठे होंगे. You know why? Because eventually I will reach to that point. तो from dualist to relativist की जो जर्नी है वो घर से स्टार्ट होती है और यूनिवर्सिटी के लेवल तक पहुंचती है. तो अब क्या होता है? What exactly happened? I conducted a very thorough study. I'm not telling you my opinion. It's an empirical study. 2016 में की गई थी. A group of teachers with the same experience, same age, same qualification, उनको जब क्लासेस में भेजा गया और उसके बाद उन टीचर्स जो हमारे स्टूडेंट थे उनसे जब पूछा गया तो स्टूडेंट्स ने उनको दो कैटेगरीज में डिवाइड किया. वन कैटेगरी दे कॉल देम वेरी नाइस टीचर्स, और दूसरी कैटेगरी उन्होंने जो कहा तो उन्होंने कहा कि दे आर वेरी अनफ्रेंडली, नॉट रियली गुड टीचर्स. ये स्टडी मैं यहाँ पे कोट नहीं करूँगा, लेकिन उसके बाद वो जो दो ग्रुप में डिवाइड हुए तो आई वाज शॉक्ड कि यार एक ही एक्सपीरियंस, एक ही एज, वही ग्रूमिंग है, मतलब एटलीस्ट यूनिवर्सिटी लेवल पर, तो इन दोनों के अप्रोच में फ़र्क क्यों होता, क्यों, मतलब वाई इट वाज डिफरेंट. तो उनसे फिर मैंने एक्सक्लूसिवली एक बहुत स्टडी कंडक्ट की और उनसे मैंने सिर्फ 4 सवाल पूछे. रिमेनिंग 3 जो चीज़ें यहाँ पे मैं शेयर करूँगा वो वहाँ से डिटेक्ट की गई थी यूजिंग द फ्रेमवर्क ऑफ एपिस्टेमिक बिलीव्स, राइट? ओके, ऑलराइट, ओके, यस, ओके. सो यहाँ पर बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट, ये सवाल बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल कि अच्छा इसको थोड़ा स्किप करते हैं. लेट्स स्किप दैट, लेट्स कम बैक टू दिस वन बिकॉज आई ऑलरेडी. सो ये जो रेड में वो टीचर थे जो उन्होंने यहाँ पे, तो मैंने ड्यूलिस्ट लिखा हुआ है, द पीपल विद द पीपल विद द एपिस्टेमिक बिलीव्स इज नॉट डेवलप्ड एक्चुअली, और वो ग्रीन में वो हैं जिनकी एपिस्टेमिक बिलीव्स डेवलप थी. लेकिन रियलिटी में ये जो रेड है ना, यहाँ पे वो टीचर्स थे जिनको स्टूडेंट के पर्सपेक्टिव से दे वर नॉट गुड टीचर्स, और ग्रीन में वो थे दोस हु वर रियली गुड टीचर्स. इनसे पहला सवाल किया गया था, एंड आई एम गोना बी वेरी क्विक हियर. पहला सवाल किया गया था व्हाट इज नॉलेज. जवाब उन्होंने बहुत ही ट्रिकी दिया था, एंड ऑफ कोर्स एज अ रिसर्चर आई एम गोना गिव यू द समरी ऑफ इट. सो व्हेन वी आस्क्ड देम व्हाट इज नॉलेज, द आंसर वाज नॉलेज इज समथिंग, नॉलेज व्हिच इज समथिंग is the production of experts, and these experts have scientific qualification to produce that knowledge, and that knowledge is fixed knowledge. अच्छा, इससे पहले मैं आपको एक और बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ बताता हूँ बिफोर आई कैन गो टू दैट. मैंने आपसे पूछा था व्हाट इज नॉलेज, तो अपनी जितनी भी ट्रेनिंग्स करवाता हूँ मैं, whenever I just go for a training, तो वहाँ पे इसी किस्म के रिस्पॉन्स आते हैं. अब सुनिएगा रिस्पॉन्सेस क्या आते हैं. व्हाट इज नॉलेज, अक्सर बेशर आंसर है नॉलेज इज फैक्ट. फैक्ट, अच्छा भाई व्हाट इज फैक्ट. फैक्ट वो चीज़ है जो हकीकत होती है, मतलब रियलिटी. फैक्ट इज रियलिटी. ओके, दैट्स गुड. सो व्हाट इज रियलिटी. रियलिटी वो जो सच्ची चीज़ होती है, मतलब रियलिटी इज ट्रुथ. ओके, गुड. सो व्हाट इज ट्रुथ. ट्रुथ इज फैक्ट, और फिर ये साइकिल चलता रहता है. फिलोसफिकली नॉलेज, फैक्ट, ट्रुथ, रियलिटी, दे आर सिनोनियम फिलोसफिकली. और जब हम इन टीचर से पूछते हैं कि व्हाट नॉलेज इज, व्हाट रियलिटी इज, व्हाट ट्रुथ इज, द आंसर इज the knowledge, truth, reality is the production of experts, the people who are qualified to decide what is true, what is real, what is fact. And that fact, reality, truth is the knowledge. And that knowledge is been recorded into the books. So, अगर यही knowledge है और यही reality है, so what is learning? Learning is to memorize those fixed knowledge which is in the books, right? So, what are the learners? Learners are the people who have no ability at all. Dr. Shahid Siddiqui साहब जो बात कर रहे थे. The people with empty heads, the people who have no natural ability to, learn new things. And what is teaching? Teaching is to transmit those fixed facts from the books to the students. And what is your role as a teacher? My role is the knowledge transmitter. सबसे पहले तो मैं अपने खाली दिमाग का जो जग है, क्योंकि I'm not expert, तो सबसे पहले मैं किताबों से वो अच्छा खासा knowledge अपने खाली जग में भरूंगा, and then आके religiously उसको अपने उन बच्चों को ट्रांसफर करूंगा. तो what teaching strategies do they adopt? By the virtue of this faith, ये पूछा नहीं था, ये देखा था. By the virtue of this faith, they were adopting lectures. Why? By going and preparing nice lectures, coming in the class and giving those knowledge religiously to the students. Or the teaching approach was teacher-centered. इस पे मैं आऊँगा. The difference between teacher-centered and learner-centered. What was the outcome? ये outcome मैंने 3 साल के बाद नोट किया था. Outcome was कि उनके जो students थे, they were more of a reproducers. ये उन्होंने वही concepts को reproduce कर रहे थे, वही चीज़ों को reproduce कर रहे थे जो उनको किताब में पढ़ाया गया. जो दूसरे हमारे teachers थे, for them the knowledge is a constructive process. It is based on the human perception. ये मैंने आपको पहले बताया चुका हूँ कि how they learn that, they were lucky enough to be born in a good family, raised maybe in a good school, and then that's how the whole thought came in. So if the knowledge is a constructive process, what is learning? Learning is an interaction. What is interaction? So learning is an interactive process where an individual interact with the teacher, with the books, with the colleagues, with the environment, with the mobile phone, and develop their own understanding of the facts. So who are the learners? Because learning is an interactive process, learner is super active. In fact, it is the learner who decides what's right and what's wrong. And what's your role as a teacher? My role is to facilitate that interactive process. ये facilitation का word पता है आपको? The facilitator the word facilitator comes from a philosophy. It's not just a random word. और उसके बाद जब हमने इनकी classes में देखा तो what teaching strategy they were adopting? They were naturally adopting those strategies where the students were given opportunity to talk. Inquiry-based approach, problem-based approach, right? ये natural आ रहा था. You can't train somebody who don't believe on that. And so what their teaching approach was learner-centered. अच्छा यहाँ पर अक्सर बेशतर हमारी डिबेट होती है कि लर्नर सेंटर और टीचर सेंटर्ड क्या है. टीचर सेंटर्ड को हम कहते हैं कि टीचर बात कर रहा है, बच्चे सुन रहे हैं, और लर्नर सेंटर्ड के बच्चे बात कर रहे हैं. Well, it's beyond that. See, the difference between teacher centered, the similarity between learner centered and teacher centered is that कि दोनों टीचर बच्चे को उसी कंक्लूजन पे लेके आएंगे जो किताब में. Conclusion will be teachers, but the difference is the path in teacher centered will be teachers. Conclusion भी टीचर का होगा, रास्ता भी उस conclusion तक पहुंचने वाला भी टीचर का होगा. लेकिन in learner centered conclusion टीचर का होगा, लेकिन जो रास्ता होगा वो हर बच्चा अपना चूज करेगा. और उस रास्ते पर पहुंचने के लिए, उस रास्ते को ढूंढते हुए, there is the possibility कि वो शख्स, वो बच्चा जो है कुछ innovation कर जाए. And that's where the context based innovation takes place. That's where you or somebody among you as a Bill Gates come in, और फिर वही Microsoft बनाए, और फिर वही Microsoft इस्तेमाल करके rest of the people को employment दे. So Microsoft, again, not to offend, but like generally speaking, I'm just one of the examples. Microsoft is helping people to learn the basic skills for the market. But what we are trying to do is to produce one of you to innovate a similar kind of a model, which is equal of Microsoft. Anyways, so what is the outcome? The outcome is lifelong learners. एक ऐसे learners produce होते हैं who are there for lifelong. They have never been dependent on the students, teachers. They have decided their own paths. और यही वजह है कि आज यहाँ पर मैडम भी बैठी हुई हैं, तो मैडम की यहाँ पे स्टूडेंट भी बैठी हुई हैं. जब ये दोनों साथ बैठते हैं, it is only when they tell you कि they are student teachers, you won't, find it. So, होता क्या है? होता ये है कि हमारे जो साइंस के जो टीचर्स हैं बेचारे, इनको जब यूनिवर्सिटी में जाते हैं तो इनको साइंस पढ़ाई जाती है एम्पेरिकल पॉजिटिविज्म से, इनको बताया जाता है कि देयर इज़ अ फिक्स नॉलेज, और जब ये वापस आते हैं यहाँ पर तो फिर हम जैसे लोग होते हैं राइट, वो हमें कहते हैं, हम उनको ट्रेनिंग्स दे रहे होते हैं बेस्ड ऑन कंस्ट्रक्टिविज्म, और जब वो फील्ड में जा रहे होते हैं तो इनका मुंह ऐसा होता है, दे आर कन्फ्यूज्ड, दे डू नॉट नो व्हाट टू डू बिकॉज द ट्रेनिंग्स विच वी गिव देम दे टोटली कंट्राडिक्ट देयर बेसिक बिलीफ सिस्टम. सो व्हाट टू डू. अब मैं शॉर्ट में जाऊंगा, 3 minutes एक्स्ट्रा. द फर्स्ट थिंग इज टू चैलेंज देयर अजम्पशंस. ये मैं बहुत बेसिक चीज बता रहा हूं. The first and the most important thing is that we as an instructor, as an educator, need to challenge the pre-assumptions of the teachers. हमें सबसे पहले उनकी pre-assumptions को challenge करना है. कैसे challenge करना है? By putting them into a situation where they have to reflect on their own practices. And जब तक हम उनको reflect नहीं करवाएंगे, जब तक हम उनको अपनी सोच पे reflect नहीं करवाएंगे, जो जिसको हम कहते हैं deconstruction, जब तक हम वो नहीं करवाएंगे, it is impossible to bring a change. And बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट ये है कि वी नीड टू ब्रिंग, अब ये बहुत बेसिक चीजें बता रहा हूं, वी नीड टू ब्रिंग अ चेंज इन देयर एटीट्यूड. वी नीड टू टीच देम टू बी मोर टॉलरेंट. टॉलरेंस का कॉन्सेप्ट ये, एक ट्रेनिंग करवा रहा था, उस ट्रेनिंग पे मैथमेटिकल कॉन्सेप्ट कुछ पढ़ा रहा था. मेरे हाथ में कुछ पेनें थी, मैंने ये हाथ में उठाया और मैंने सवाल किया कि हाउ मेनी पेन्स डू आई हैव इन माई हैंड्स. How many pens do I have in my hands? ये सवाल मैं आपसे भी करता हूँ. Please, how many pens do I have in my hands? जी? 2 plus 1, 2 plus 2, 4.
3 pens and 1 marker.
3 pens, 1 marker.
3 plus 1.
4.
1.
Okay. Somebody else? Okay. अब क्या हुआ कि उस पूरे क्राउड में एक बोल्ड बच्चा बैठा हुआ था. यस, किसने कहा? वेल डन, ग्रेट. लेट मी स्माइल एंड टेल यू व्हाई. हाउ 6? ओके, राइट. ओके, गुड है. ये आपने सुना था लास्ट टाइम. इट्स अ रियली गुड वन. आई रियली अप्रिशिएट इट. पता हुआ क्या था? यू नो व्हाट एग्जैक्टली हैपेंड? इसी तरीके से एक बच्चे ने बोल्ड होकर 5 कह दिया. इन्होंने 6 कहा और उन्होंने 5 कह दिया. जब 5 कहा तो एवरीबॉडी वाज लाफिंग. एंड अ पर्सन विद द पावर, बिकॉज राइट नाउ आई हैव बीन एम्पावर्ड, तो एज अ पर्सन आई कुड हैव मेक फन ऑफ दैट स्टूडेंट, बट हंसी तो बहुत आ रही थी. बट आई स्माइल्ड एंड आई आस्क दैट पर्सन के हाउ, तो आंसर बड़ा अच्छा था. उसने कहा कंसीडरिंग द साइज एंड मास ऑफ द पेन्स इन योर हैंड एंड कंपेयरिंग विद द साइज एंड द मास ऑफ द मार्कर इन योर हैंड, आई कैन इजीली अज्यूम दैट देयर आर दैट 1 marker is equal to 2 pens, hence my conclusion is 5. The answer might be wrong, but the thinking was innovative, and it is the thinking which really help us to think beyond, and that's how we are going to talk about कि there is a possibility of 2 plus 2 is equal to 5. So ये जो सोच है, ये जो इस 5 कहने का जो या 6 कहने का जो उनका जो ये डेयर है, ये डेयर इनटू थिंकिंग इज एक्चुअली इन द हैंड ऑफ टीचर एजुकेटर. 2 पॉइंट्स में सिर्फ ऐड करूंगा, एंड दैट इज कि ये तो था वो चीजें जो बहुत हम चाइल्डिश की तरह करते हैं. सो दिस इज अ मोर चाइल्डिश वे. आई कैन टेल यू, आप कहेंगे सर ये कैसे होगा? वेल, फॉरगेट अबाउट इट. बट लेट मी टेल यू वन ऑफ द मोस्ट साइंटिफिक वे. द मोस्ट साइंटिफिक वे इज दैट कि जब भी हमारे पास whenever we as an individual learn something, we always make relationship. We have an outcome and we have a variable. सारी जिंदगी हमें सिखाया गया कि for every outcome there is only one variable. किसी भी एक आउटकम का एक ही रीजन होता है. अभी भी आपसे मैं अगर कोई सवाल करूं कि फ्लड क्यों आए, तो इमीडिएटली एक ही जवाब आएगा, करप्शन, ज़्यादा बारिश आता है तो ज़्यादा पानी आता है, ज़्यादा कम बारिश आता है तो. But the problem is that this approach is good, लेकिन this approach actually only help us to understand things from one perspective. We need, and this is called the univariable approach. Univariable approach में वो जो outcome का जो variable होता है ना, वो variable हमने scientifically दरियाफ्त नहीं किया होता है, वो हमें बड़े ने बताया होता है, या किसी किताब में लिखा होता है, या किसी बराबर के शख्स ने बताया होता है. लेकिन अब हमें क्या करना है? We need to move from univariability to, अच्छा इसमें बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ है कि आपको पता है कि दूसरे वेरिएबल हो सकते हैं, but you assume कि they are constant. You really don't push them, you don't really find the relationship of it. और यही वजह होती है कि सर को पता है कि there is only one variable, variable A influence outcome, और सर को पता है कि there is a variable B which influence the outcome. और ये आपस में लड़ते रहेंगे, कभी एक पॉइंट पे आएंगे नहीं. Why? Because they have been raised with a univariable approach. और यहाँ पर conflicts आते हैं. What we need to do? We need to adopt a teaching strategy which help us to move from univariability to multivariable approach. And I think considering that I need to be multivariable thinker and I need to understand the discourse, उसके बाद मुझे शायद कुछ मार भी पड़ सकती है. So I'm going to just close it कि we need to develop from univariable to multivariable approach, जिसमें हमें बच्चों को ये सिखाना होगा कि for in every outcome there are multiple variables and we can help them to identify those multiple variables and they can make the relationship of those different variables to reach to an outcome. और ये अप्रोच इतनी इंपॉर्टेंट है कि ये अप्रोच सिर्फ और सिर्फ एक ही तरीके से हम कर सकते हैं. हम सुबह से लेकर मेटाकॉग्निशन की बात कर रहे थे. द मेटाकॉग्निशन, इसको बस मैं कंक्लूड करता हूँ. द मेटाकॉग्निशन इज नॉट अबाउट हेल्पिंग स्टूडेंट टू बी एनालिटिकल और डेवलपिंग देयर एनालिटिकल स्किल्स बाय चैलेंजिंग देयर कंक्लूजन्स. अक्सर और बेशतर हम बड़ी इनोवेटिव पेडागोजी में भी हम क्या करते हैं, वी चैलेंज और पार्टिसिपेंट्स कंक्लूजन. आप भले इंक्वायरी बेस्ड या प्रॉब्लम बेस्ड अप्रोच करें, लेकिन अ टीचर ऑलवेज चैलेंज द कंक्लूजन. वी बिलीव दैट इफ यू रियली वांट टू ब्रिंग इनोवेशन, डू नॉट चैलेंज द कंक्लूजन, challenge the methodology of the student to reach to that conclusion. If you do that, you're going to bring a significant change. The learnings continue, and I would like to stop it here. Thank you so kindly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Irfan Rinth. Now I would like to invite Dr. Mahmood Al-Hassan Bhatt for the concluding remarks. Sir, please.
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. You have had 2 very productive days. I'm looking at your program that you had and also the key terms that have been discussed and hopefully understood. But today, as we conclude this session, I'd like to share with you about 3 or 4 teachers who did most of these things in their lives. One of those teachers is sitting right next to me. You heard Dr. Rehman. He is currently the chairperson director of NACTI. NACTI is the National Accreditation for Teacher Education organization. He, at Aga Khan University, established a small but very effective department of doing educational research that could be then utilized in Pakistani environment. And that research is still going on, and now as he takes care of teacher education and its quality evaluation, I am thankful to you, sir, what you started. On my left is Dr. Nasir Mahmood. I remember when he was at IIR Lahore, the first graduate teacher education institute that was established in Lahore. And I encouraged him, and I recommended to the Vice Chancellor, who is my successor here at Allama Iqbal, to get that man here. I'm glad he agreed. He still travels from Islamabad to Lahore because his family is still there, but he is the inspiration for taking a university which produces the largest numbers of teachers not recently, but for a long time. He has seen the teacher education, not teacher training, I don't like that term, teacher education program that he inherited, CT, PTC, that's the program it offered at this campus when he came here. And we talk about innovation. We talk about new enterprises. He took it, and instead of that 8 months program of chalk and talk and then let the people loose to do whatever damage they could do, he took a step, which is bold step, to fundamentally transform teacher education on the basis of what everybody else in the world was doing. So we started the 4-year baccalaureate teacher education program. Not only here, he pioneered it, but then we spread it in all the provinces of the country. And that's innovation. That's commitment. That is searching for new ways of doing things. And not just searching for them, but implementing them. Thank you, sir. For that. There's another teacher sitting there, Dr. Afshahuma. I had a little part in developing her into who she is. I sent her from here to Michigan State University for her doctorate. And what she's doing now, and this is something that I'd like to share with you because it's important. We talked about those models, pictures of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM studies. She picked up, along with her colleagues in the Faculty of Education here, she picked up the results of 2019 study, international study. It's called STEM, and it's called also Trends in Math and Science, and that's an international study. First time, Pakistan sent its 4th graders and 8th graders and took the uniform test, international test of math and science. The results of that effort, when we received them, have been buried somewhere in the official bureaucratic rigmarole. You know why? Because instead of learning from those results, we felt they are not good enough to be shared with you and everybody else. Not forgetting that those results are available on the internet. You know, 2019, what was the status of Pakistani students who participated in that study? And we were one of the 59 countries. Has anybody seen the results of that study? Yes. Here's one who has. Here's another one who has. Here's another one who has. I wish you all do. You have your computers, go on the internet and just plug in the study that I talked to you about. You know, out of 59 countries, what were the top 5 countries in terms of the students' achievement? Singapore, number 1. Taiwan, number 2. South Korea, Japan, and China. These were the 5 top countries, all Asian countries. Their students scored the highest at the 4th grade level as well as at the 8th grade level in both of these subjects. And here we are in atomic power, supposedly. And you know what our students achieved? What was their rank? Out of 59 countries, only Philippines was below us. We were 58th. That's why the bureaucrats decided to hide that. And we talk all about metacognition, we talk about creative learning, we talked about inquisitive learning, all these terms that you have been talking about. Our DNA is not inferior to that of Singaporeans or Koreans or Japanese. We're all Asians. You, like us, have to take it seriously, my friends. And for that purpose, that teacher is now working with her faculty colleagues to develop a refined program of teacher education and offer it next year, which will focus on doing something about science and math, STEM education. The program that we developed back in 65, 66, and 70s, we have to add to it and be the creative teachers like these. Or the one, we talk about teachers teaching under a tree. I call them teachers teaching on the tart. And there are teachers, you also had them here, who teach in Tartia schools. Tart hai. Tart wale or tart wale. Both are important. And both are essential to be educated in a manner where they can be productive, where they can be creative, where they can be constructive, and where they can be caring. I remember a teacher teaching in one of those Tartia schools who told one of his students on graduation, there are 3 kinds of forces. There's magnetism, there's gravity. We have them here in this village. And there's another force, electricity. For that you have to go to Lahore. So he sent him to Lahore because he had the highest marks in the matriculation examination. He said, you go to Lahore. He went to Lahore. But he didn't stay there too long after graduating and getting the best, highest marks in mathematics and physics. His professor, a kind-hearted person there, sent him to Cambridge. And at Cambridge, he did research on subatomic particles and got a Nobel Prize for it. Tartiers can do that. None of the Tartiers have done it. Tartiers can do it. You know who he is? He is our first Nobel Prize winner in the hard science. That's one teacher. There's another teacher I'd like to share with you. brand newly minted PhD from Johns Hopkins University. He went to teach in Michigan. The University of Chicago was after him because of his research work, and they said, why don't you come to Chicago? He says, I'll come on one condition. Here's a scholar. He says, I'll come to Chicago if you let me set up a new department. And that department was a department of philosophy, department of psychology, and department of pedagogy all rolled in one. The first lab school in the United States was established at University of Chicago by that man. And the story doesn't end there. He is the founding father of progressive education in the country, because he says in 1882 when he came there, he said American education was pre-democratic. It was pre-industrial. And it was pre-scientific. 1882. He says our universities did not have anything to do with the industrial development that was taking place all around us. Had nothing to do with science. Very little. And he says we need to do that. 1882. He started like him, and like him, this new department to produce a new breed of teachers. 50 years later, 1950, we see the celebration of a free, universal, compulsory education up to 12th grade for all boys and girls in America. That's what he called democratic education. And they succeeded in doing that. And that's where science and mathematics was taught to all of them in a systematic fashion. His name, you might have heard about him, John Dewey. 50 years of hard work and producing teachers, a core of teachers who created a new progressive education which was democratic, which was scientific, and which was industrial. America became the largest producer of Nobel Prize winners because of that man's efforts. You can do it. You have these terms. We talk about them. 2 days we have spent on them. It's time now. We learn. And that's why I'm here making this plea. Please be like those teachers. Please take the challenge. We don't have to be 58th out of 59. We can and we should and we must do better. And the challenge is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And with that, I would request our worthy speakers and session chairs to please come at the front so that we can present the conference souvenirs. Please, sir. First of all, I would request Professor Dr. Mahmoodul Hassan Butt to present the souvenir to Professor Dr. Irfan Rinth. Please, sir. Aye. Sir, aye. Sir, aap bhi aaye. Maimun sahab. I request Dr. Maimun as well to please come at the front. He's innovative. Dr. Sahab, aap bhi aaye. Dr. Sahab, aap bhi aaye. Thank you. And I would also request Professor Dr. Nasir Mahmood to present the souvenir to Dr. Mahmoodul Hassan Bhatt. Professor Dr. Mahmoodul Hassan Bhatt is right now Professor Emeritus at Allama Iqbal Open University, and he is the ex-Vice Chancellor as well. Now we are going to thank all our teams, and now we are going to thank all our. अच्छा अभी हो गया? Thank you, Gurnam. Okay. Okay. दे दी. Okay, ji. There's a special award. Keep holding that. There's a special award for the first time in ICRPE. There's a special award in the ICRPE. Somebody who did an extraordinary effort. Somebody who was in contact with us for past 3 months. Somebody who is teaching at the Begum Nusrat Bhutto Women University. Mr. J. Prakash. We call it real educational leadership. The person who is really doing an effort for women empowerment. He brought all these young teachers, young student teachers all the way from Sindh, and he has been coordinating with us. इसने हमें रात को भी नहीं सोने दिया. And we wish more and more teachers like him in the country. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jay. Thank you. With that, I am going to pay a little tribute and thanks to all our organizing teams. And first of all, I am beginning with the team of volunteers. Our volunteers, if they are here right now, please stand up, come on the stage, and have a group picture with the dignitaries and receive your certificates. All the volunteers. Have a group picture, and then Dr. Sidra is going to hand over your certificates. Ms. Shamsa was coordinating all the volunteers with us, but she had to leave urgently. There was a call from home. So Ms. Shamsa Kaval had to leave. So all these young students, students from undergrad and masters and MS and PhD. So thank you so much. Thank